Hello, everybody. I'm John O'Loughlin. Welcome to McDuff Lives and welcome to our Friday live chat with Marcia. Now, I know something that you all probably don't know yet, and that is this. It's Marcia's birthday this weekend, so we're going to start off with a round of applause for Marcia. And happy birthday, Marcia! All right, and we'll start the show. All right, and here we all are, John O'Loughlin, Marcia Keith, and all of you guys here for our Friday live chat. Hi, Marcia.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the birthday mention. I wasn't expecting that.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yes, well, always enjoy these celebrations we have once a year, and then I get to do mine in October, and yeah, birthdays are great.
Birthdays are fun.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's part of our culture. It's part of
A nice way to celebrate ourselves.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think we all deserve that.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. We're going to have a nice little get together over the weekend.
Yes.
Well, let's say hello to everybody. I'm happy to see folks that want to join in the chat. But if you're not, if you're watching on the replay, welcome. Glad to have you if you're on X or on our Facebook live page. We have two YouTube channels open. That's McDuff Lives 2 and McDuff Lives 3, as well as our principal channel, which is on Rumble at McDuff Lives. And you could be the one. Oops, Toto's upset. Sound like a big truck going by or something.
Yeah. Toto was not at all happy about that.
But if you haven't signed up for our McDuff Lives all one word Rumble channel yet, you might be the 1,000th subscriber. So hurry on over to Rumble. And plus, Rumble is a good place to join us in the chat. But you can join us on YouTube. Hello, Quilting Nurse, and our good friend, Kathy Sue.
Hi, hello, Kathy Sue.
Yeah, we haven't seen you in too long. And yeah, well, wouldn't it be nice to just go out to California for a while and visit folks?
It would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've talked about that.
Uh-huh. And here's Raz. How is X working? It's been working fine for us. It's yeah, it gets about the same number of views as the Rumble channel does, just because I'm very active on X. And I think
yes, you are.
People are more easy. It's just the folks that watch me on X are going to watch the show on X as well. And I've had no trouble seeing comments from everybody. The only thing is that if you're on YouTube, then you don't see the Rumble comments, and if you're on Rumble and you don't see the YouTube comments. But it's all good. It's all good.
Kathy Sue says, "Please come out to California anytime." Thank you, Kathy Sue. We will.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is right now is that we don't want to travel with the dogs that far, and since we are,
well, not in an automobile. If we had a nice little van or small motorhome, could put Toto in the motorhome and just excuse me, take our time driving across the country. I think that would be terrific. I would love to do that, meet people along the way. We could keep doing this but just do it from the road. That would be fun, but we don't have one of those little motorhomes.
I know, and it costs you an arm and a leg to get one too.
That's right, and we don't have any arms or legs to spare.
No way. But we've got a nice little ship here, our home on Mystery Island, and I don't want to give it up. That would be the only way to get an expensive motorhome would be to just sell everything and then do that. And Nah, I want to hang on to my real estate.
Place to come back to, yeah.
Yeah.
Razvedka 7 actually had the same idea.
Yeah, you can certainly do your podcast when driving, especially
Mhm.
especially if we decided to get one of Elon Musk's Starlink things, because then you can just put it on the top and point it up at the sky, and wherever you are, you're connected.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
I did buy, well, not 5 years ago, something that is called, it was called an M1, and it's in the drawer over here. I never use it, but the idea was to have mobile internet, and I could theoretically do that. The trouble is to try to get a plan with a cell phone provider that's going to give you what you want without having to spend like 75 or $100 a month
Right.
just to be connected. So. But anyway, that's just us.
Yeah.
Laura says rent a motorhome for 2 or 3 weeks. If you look at, you're talking about $5,000 a week.
Yeah.
You know,
And 2 or 3 weeks, I don't think is enough time to go from the East Coast to the West Coast. I'd like to take my time and stop along the way and see things I've never seen before, but also see relatives, because I have tons of relatives in Texas, both East and West, but mostly West Texas. I'd want to spend time there, stop and see relatives in New Mexico and Arizona. That would be nice. Yeah.
well,
So,
we can go see Hervoye Morich in Mexico too. That would be fun.
and I've never been to Guadalajara. I would like that very much because that's where my mother was born. And I don't know if I have relatives there or not. If I do, I don't know them. But there's a chance that I do.
Well,
There's a good chance, probably. So yeah, that would be fun to go to Mexico. Well, now you've just really added to the trip that we can't afford.
that's okay. We're doing great here in the Mystery Island studio. Yeah, and thanks for contributions that you guys make to the Patreon. I really do appreciate it, and helps me buy things like a brand new microphone from Marcia that I got this year. It's a Shure SM7B, the professional quality, and we're able to do that because we get some income on the Patreon and some income on the Substack. So
Thank you for that. So Brightmore Dinosaurs here. Trump to sign a bill to legitimize cryptocurrency, stablecoin, by linking crypto to the American dollar. Yeah, I have to work on understanding how that all works.
me too. I I want to watch Dr. Jack Cruz on his X feed, but I can't because he blocked me. And he blocked me.
That is so weird.
No,
I remember that.
yeah, because I got, well, it was my fault. Okay, I mean,
Wait, before you go on,
okay.
Prester John says there's an echo on YouTube. I don't know what that's about. I'm not hearing an echo, but if anybody else is hearing an echo, let us know. All right, go ahead.
Oh, I was listening for the echo.
No, there's no echo on our end, but we're hearing it going out.
Yeah,
Prester John is hearing it coming down.
Kathy Sue, do you hear an echo?
Anyway, in the meantime,
but Jack Cruz
no
is all over Bitcoin, okay, as well as he is this expert that really, well, Karma Doc turned me on to him
Right.
on the red light therapy. So, okay, no echo. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
So the red light therapy was where I started looking at Jack Cruz, and I saw that Jack Cruz at that time, now I think he's mellowed out a lot, but this was 6 months or a year ago. He was very, very angry in his tone, and I thought, well, why should you be, well, and it actually mentioned it to Karma Doc, and she says, well, neurosurgeons, right? Well, neurosurgeons have a
Okay.
reputation in the medical community for being, let's just say a little bit proud of their brain power, a little bit egotistical.
Okay.
And that does kind of explain it. But but the first thing I did was I asked him a question because I had noticed, in my own case that I have a compromised P53 gene, and I saw a medical NCBI post at how turmeric can repair the P53, and I thought this is great. Let me ask Jack Cruz, the great neurosurgeon. And so I asked him the question, and his response was just really flippant.
I remember, yeah.
It was like, if you knew about something in which is a quantum mechanics principle,
right,
then you wouldn't ask.
Right.
And I don't want to know about quantum mechanics. But his thing is, he really disparages people that think food is going to help them, and that's you and me.
Oh, I
See,
see.
he says it's all about red light, and it's all about getting a lot of sunlight, and then and kind of wilding, and that kind of idea that he is above the idea that nutrition is going to save us. It's not nutrition. It is being out in the sun. And I think it's nutrition plus being out in the sun.
Right. Well, Dr. Campbell talks about that reductionist thinking is what he calls it, instead of holistic thinking. It's not just one thing, and everybody's jumping all over themselves to try and find that one silver bullet, that one miracle cure. And it's not one thing. It's a very complex web of interacting elements, be it light, nutrition, whatever, that all work together.
All right, Corky.
Corky says John doesn't want to know about quantum physics. Yeah, me either.
Here's the trouble. The trouble is there was a time that I did. And I may still have my notebooks from college physics in which I was able to calculate the spin of electrons, how fast is it going around this way? And quantum mechanics was really within my grasp. However, it was so far from my grasp that other people in the class were like eating it up and got it cold, whereas I didn't have the background to get it. So, I gave up on it, 50 some years ago.
Well, let's go back to cryptocurrency, because I'm not quite sure, we went from cryptocurrency to Jack Cruz.
Jack Cruz, and I wanted to make the point that, he is all about Bitcoin. And so now he published, I guess, today, and I saw it because somebody else quoted it on X, because I can't see it, but I can see it if somebody else posts it. So maybe it was Carbidoc that posted it, but it was a real deep dive into the history of Bitcoin and who was in early, and he really connects a lot of people like Assange and Elon Musk and others into 30 years ago, 40 years ago, being prepped for the rollout of digital currency. And I wanted to follow that, but the discussion in that it's a real deep dive. So I would have to spend the afternoon reading it. But folks that are interested in Bitcoin, I would say, definitely look at Jack Cruz, or it's Dr. Jack Cruz.
Yeah. Well, Brightmore says that the Genius Act making stablecoin another safe currency was accomplished by the Clarity Bill and the Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act. That should rule out all economic malfeasance.
Well, Brightmore, I got to ask you a question. Does that mean that stablecoin is legal tender for all debts, public and private?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, what good is it if nobody has to take it? In other words, that's the function of currency. The function of currency is to hand something to somebody that satisfies a debt or exchanges for some value. If I've got dollar bills and I owe you money, I can pay you the dollar bills, and the legal system is like, hey, you paid the debt, you're done, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But if I have the same amount of money in stable coins and I say, oh, let me transfer some stable coins to you, and you say, no, I don't want those, I don't trust those things. Well, until there is a adoption of these things, and the same point is made on Bitcoin, until people use it for currency, it's not going to go anywhere.
Well, Brightmore says it appears that stablecoin will be used as another legitimate currency.
Okay, well, wait, I'm going to wait and see on that, because maybe that's what they're trying to do, is to legitimize in the minds of the people digital currency generally.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, Bitcoin has gone up a lot lately, but at the same time, I don't trust it. I'm not going to move, my little bit of savings over to Bitcoin only to have somebody pull the rug out from under me whenever it suits their purposes.
Exactly.
I don't trust it.
Yeah, yes, I am with you on that.
But what would make me trust it would be if everybody was using Bitcoin to go to the grocery store, Bitcoin to pay for your fuel bill, Bitcoin, to pay your rent or pay your mortgage. If everybody was like, oh yeah, Bitcoin's just as good as money, because
Bitcoin to pay the honor produce stand down the road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they could have a little, little digital thing, and yeah, here's your Bitcoin. But you know what? I just I don't think the people are accepting it as currency, and I won't accept it as currency. I mean, I would accept it as gifts. That's one thing I have noticed is a lot of the podcasters on YouTube are asking people for Bitcoin now. So yeah.
Well, regarding Jack Cruz, Prester John says Jack Cruz thinks El Salvador is leading the world in liberty, which is complete nonsense.
That's
El Salvador
a good point.
Is fascist modern day prison colony.
That's a good point.
And then he goes on to say the Crypto Brigade is using El Salvador as a lab for digital currencies, which is kind of sick to subject that population to this heinous garbage.
Well, you remind me, Prester John, that the population did not take it up as currency, and that's where that thought came from. Was my having known this a few months ago that despite the President Bukele and Jack Cruz and whoever else was talking up Bitcoin, it wasn't accepted as currency by local businesses or people that needed to use currency.
According to Brightmore, Marjorie Taylor Greene is posting about the Genius Act as the slippery slope to a CBDC controlled by the Fed. Interesting that rumors have Trump firing the Fed's Powell. Yeah,
Trump is definitely trying to get rid of Powell, but the way that they wrote the Federal Reserve Act back in 1913, he does not have the power to just say you're fired, like he did on his TV show.
Right.
So that's why it is a battle, and I'm not sure why there's a battle, except for it's just a control thing. But
that's it exactly. I think it's a control thing.
But I am just not. I'm not buying Trump as an independent sovereign entity that makes his own decisions. I don't.
Well, of course not.
I wanted to, and I think everybody in the MAGA movement and the people that went to J6 and all of the folks that supported him in the election, we've all known, gosh, this guy goes back to Roy Cohn, Resorts International, lots of shady bankruptcy deals, and
I don't think you get elected dog catcher without some kind of patronage going on and owing the people who got you into that elected position. I think all elected positions, the way our system works, you've got powerful people behind you to help you get there. Otherwise, you don't get elected.
And that brings me back to undo the coup.
That's right. Undo the coup. Well, Brightmore also notes that Coke is switching from high fructose corn sugar to cane sugar. Although somebody further on did note that they haven't committed to it, but they have said, there we go. They haven't completely agreed to the switch yet. So I think the president is actually taking credit for it, though Coke has not officially announced it. I think Coke said something like, we're going to be expanding our product line, be on the lookout for more news and more information, something like that. I'm very, very much paraphrasing. But anyway, it's troubling to me. I mean, high fructose corn syrup is horrible stuff and it's poison, but so is sugar. And I see that and I think, okay, are we going to start positioning sugar as healthy?
Oh, it's always been positioned as healthy. Are you kidding?
It hasn't.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well.
I mean, maybe the way that they do it is by saying, low sugar, like, okay, a little bit of sugar is okay, but it's still promoting sugar.
Well, there is apparently a whole following of Mexican Coke because in Mexico it is made with sugar.
Yeah.
And people say it tastes better.
I think it tastes better. I mean, back when I used to drink soda, I remember the difference. When we were down in Atlanta, the home of Coca-Cola, as children for our summer vacation, Coca-Cola out of a Coke machine in the dead of heat, is one of the most refreshing things you could imagine. And it was, cane sugar back then. They switched that to go along with the NSSM 200 and taking over the food with GMOs.
Right.
So that's the great thing about it, is that if we can get rid of this corn syrup based, because the corn is grown with GMOs, so they're getting that poison into us one way or another.
When I was a little girl, my Uncle Mario had a bar in his den. Not just a wet bar, but a big, complete, wonderful, almost like a bar in a restaurant, though not necessarily that big, but close. And in the bar, he kept Coca-Cola syrup stocked with soda water and other syrups as well. Vanilla syrup, cherry syrup. So when I'd go to my Uncle Mario's house to visit my cousins there, that was always the fun thing, would be to go to the bar and make your own Coca-Cola with syrup and soda water, and you could add, whatever cherry syrup, or I always liked vanilla Cokes because I always liked, what is it called? Cream soda. And, vanilla Coke would taste a lot like cream soda. That was wonderful. And I'm sure that was made with plenty of sugar. And we probably, knowing how kids can be, I suspect we probably used more syrup than soda water when we were making those. But it was fun.
Yeah, it is fun. We have a truck that goes around the island playing, one of those machines
those ice. Yeah, they do. They do
the
ice.
So that and it's this food coloring and crap. But
food coloring, food dyes, and sugar water, but not really sugar. It's probably high fructose corn syrup.
But the point is that it was fun, and it's still fun for kids to go out and, here comes the Kona Iceman, and it was fun then. It's still fun now. It's part of our culture, but it's this tragedy that we're all addicted to sugar.
As Prester John says, cane sugar is more addictive. I think that's what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah, addictive, he means. Yeah.
Than heroin. And that's so very true. It is.
Yeah.
Corky says, sugar. I am lucky I have my teeth over it now. Even though I loved drinking these sodas at my Uncle Mario's house, we weren't allowed to have them at home. My mother never, ever bought sodas except for 7-Up when you had an upset stomach. But one of the things that I loved was bubble gum. And all that sugar in that pink bubble gum.
Yeah.
That's where I rotted out my teeth.
Well, those were the good old days. And
Well, too bad I don't. Yeah, it's too bad I don't drink soda because Prester John says Jamaicans have a soda that tastes exactly like the old school cream soda. It's called Cola Champagne. Boy, I bet they sell that at that Caribbean restaurant up the road.
My drink was Old Time Ginger Beer. It's a Jamaican brand of ginger beer. It was the best. Cane sugar and delicious. Why are we selling sugary drinks today, though?
I know, because
we don't do that anymore.
Right. I mean, we drink we don't even drink fruit juice. We just drink water or no sugary drinks. So no big deal that we're going to require Coke to switch to sugar from corn syrup because it's all bad for you. So let's keep that message out there.
Yeah, the whole Coke regime, forget, anything that has the Coke or Pepsi logos on attached, Frito-Lay, all of that crap. Just don't go there.
Agreed. All right. So Brightmore also says Brightmore is talkative today. LA Mayor Karen Bass is allocating funds to bail out immigration protesters, not unlike the Dems bailing out the violent paid protesters during Soros's Summer of Love. Okay.
And they are. I've seen it reported twice that they're going to. They've passed a bill in the California legislature allowing low-income housing to be built in the Pacific Palisades.
That's troubling because as we were talking about briefly yesterday, that's going to require the taking of land from people.
Yeah.
And that gets into some horrible, horrible territory. I dealt with that a little bit when I worked in economic development, and the whole subject of eminent domain would come up from time to time. And, you can take land for infrastructure and you can take land for economic development and eminent domain. And to me, that is just, when you take the land under those circumstances, you have to pay market rate. So it's not like people are left empty-handed, but they may not want to give up their land. They loved their home in Pacific Palisades. They were traumatized by it burning down, and now they're going to be traumatized again by not being able to rebuild and go back to their neighborhoods. Their neighborhoods were destroyed and can never be recreated. And that's just, to take people's land, that is so troubling. Prester John says, where's the civil liberties crowd on Trump dramatically increasing and codifying unconstitutional surveillance on American citizens? Well, okay, I'm not entirely sure what that's referring to, but I will say I could see that the civil liberties community is reluctant to, well, I take that back. It is again, as to use that phrase used earlier, a slippery slope. But
yeah, I need to know more about the background of your question, because I thought the Patriot Act already did that. Just forget about it.
Well, that's true. That's true. I'm not. Corky says, SU building apartment blocks like crazy. Asians love it here. NYS baby. I don't know. I don't get that. I'm not sure what SU is. Then of course,
where is Corky? Corky, where is that Syracuse University you're talking about, or what?
Oh, I bet.
I wonder.
That would be New York. Brightmore brings up Trump fired James Comey's daughter, Maureen Comey, prosecutor for the sleazy SDNY, which helped cover up Epstein and Weiner data. Also, she participated in the Combs prosecution.
Yeah, Sean Combs.
Yep.
Yeah, it's so clear that these people are, wired into the system. And James Comey's daughter is just how, it's so obvious.
Well, I think, I read stuff like that James Comey's daughter is a leading federal prosecutor. And I think about David Cranmer Underdown and all of how he connects dots constantly in this family and that family. And it just underscores how much that goes on. It's so troubling that goes on, that this nepotism continues to happen and all of these connections continue to happen.
I'm reading the book Two World Wars and Hitler by McGregor and O'Dowd, I think is his name. And, highly recommend that folks pick up this book. The part that I was reading yesterday had to do with the way that the Rothschilds, who became the financiers of the aristocracy and most importantly the British royal family in the 1900s, and thereby acquires incredible power over the aristocracy, and even in like France even more. But they marry their cousins, or they even marry their uncles or their nieces. The whole family observes a strict code of marrying a cousin, and that carried over into the Eastern establishment families. And I guess Comey may be one of those, in which you have family connections that connect you to the Mayflower, or connect you to King Edward VIII, or all of these networks are built upon family connections. And so they keep everything in the family to the extent that they can. And sometimes, they'll change somebody's name so they won't look like, like I was just amused yesterday to see somebody whose name is Kaiser, but it's not Kaiser, or it's not Keiser. It's Cayzr. Kaiser.
Oh my gosh, Cayzr.
Yeah, Kaiser.
Oh.
Yeah, so that kind of hiding but still keeping everything in the family is part of it. Is part of how they keep their control grid. But so they had her be the person that locks up Ghislaine Maxwell. But now they've got this wonderful setup where they can say, wait a minute, Trump says that it was a hoax, so why is Ghislaine Maxwell in jail if it's a hoax? And now, where is this going to go next? Well, it's discrediting. It's all discrediting Trump. It's all the deep state's effort to keep Trump on a leash.
I guess I didn't realize that Trump is saying it's a hoax.
Yeah, he's been saying that's his latest response to all the demands that Pam Bondi be fired, because she's she really played games with that.
She did, but I didn't. I thought Trump was saying there's just no further evidence.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Well, he also uses the word hoax.
Okay.
He says, why does everybody want to talk about this guy Jeffrey Epstein, who seems to have died many times or something like that, and it's a hoax. Let's move on. Yeah.
Do you think that he signed the birthday card?
I'm lost. What's this?
The Wall Street Journal has reported that a birthday card that was an album of some kind that was given to Epstein way back in I've seen two different dates. One was 2013 and then one was 2005. But a birthday card that was given to Epstein and was signed by all of his friends, that one of the people who signed it was Trump, who included a drawing of a naked woman. And this has just been reported by the Wall Street Journal. So this is going to be the latest lawsuit because Trump says it's a lie. And he's now going to sue the Wall Street Journal like he did CBS and so many other media outlets.
So have they figured out who he drove a picture of?
Well, he's saying no such thing exists.
I'm sure. And, all of this is great, eye candy and ear candy for the consumers of media. And all of that goes on while the genocide of Gaza continues.
There you go. Exactly. Well, that's, we got to talk about all of this sex-related stuff because that keeps us distracted from killing babies in Gaza and priests and women and people, hungry, starving people standing in line for food. Oops, made another mistake. Corky says that the letter text is very un-Trumpy. So does Elon Musk. So there you go.
But there's so many pictures of Trump with Epstein.
Mm-hmm.
So why wouldn't he sign his birthday card? Who cares?
Right. Well, it's one thing to sign a birthday card.
Oh, but then to draw the naked women.
And I don't remember the wording in the text, but the wording apparently was I think there was some reference to keep being sexy or something.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly what it was.
This is, again, it just shows you that it's all a show. It's all the uniparty making things happen, making events happen that are going to get our attention. And while they're pulling off things like basically grabbing everybody's property and taking away our rights. Now, I will speak up for RFK Jr., who put out a video today announcing that the United States is going to reject the proposed amendments to the World Health Organization treaty, which has the effect of preventing the World Health Organization from running medical policy during the next, quote, pandemic. The treaty, if we didn't reject it, would have made the World Health Organization the authority for how to respond to a pandemic. And that means, everybody roll up your sleeve and pull down your pants. So that's a good thing.
Yes.
And he spoke very well about it. And so I recommend that video.
Well, Resvedka says hooray for RFK for sure.
Good.
Yeah. I don't want any organization controlling American policy. The only people who should be controlling American policy are Congress, the judicial system, and the executive branch. That's who controls American policy. So I'm all in favor of that.
Yeah, we've got to have our sovereignty, and the thing that's going on with the economy has been the overarching theme of history, and that is how the elite, already rich people, and the aristocrats and the merchant bankers can continue to enrich themselves at the expense of the common people without the common people seeing it, or at least without us seeing it well enough to rebel. And that's what's been going on with this currency manipulation. That's why our dollar is only worth 10 cents from what it was 50 years ago. This is what they keep doing. And that's what we try to do at McDuff Lives, is to peel back the onion and say, look, so you can't expect that the Democrats are going to save you from the Republicans, and you can't expect that the Republicans are going to save you from the Democrats. And what we're seeing here, is, well,
yeah. I've got a comment on that because I imagine, and I really do believe it's true, that there are back rooms all over the place where the Democrats and the Republicans get together and decide what the script is going to be. Well, our side is going to say A, B, C, D, and then your side says D, E, F, and then we decide on some kind of a compromise, and we pretend to be really angry at each other, and then this one's going to say that, and that one's going to say this, and then in the meantime, we're all going to do this other thing that no one's going to notice because they're too busy paying attention to this thing that we're talking about. Yeah, I believe it goes on all the time.
it is Syracuse University.
Yes, yeah. Oh, wait a minute. RFK wants Americans to wear digital health monitors.
Yeah.
Surgeon General Casey Means owns a wearables company. How convenient. Okay.
Did you see that though, Marcia?
No.
Oh yeah. RFK Jr. comes out and says, this is the beginning, this is like Monday or so, says, we want in the future all Americans to have a wearable. Yeah.
That is so big brother. I would not have expected that from RFK.
I think he probably had to say it through his teeth because I know he didn't want to say it. I think it's another instance of how the people that are put in positions are simply controlled. And he has to be controlled in so many ways. And one of them is he couldn't get rid of the MMR vaccine. And the other one is he's got to promote wearables. But the whole point of wearables is to send data to the big computer and let them build their, a digital model of everybody so they can, monitor our health. It's all a big scam.
Oh my.
It could be helpful. I mean, if you don't mind giving your data into the big computer, then if it helps you to know what your blood pressure is over time or heart rate or
Well, you know why this troubles me so much?
Because you just got one.
Because I just got one. Yeah. I want to be able to track my steps.
Yeah.
I want to be able to monitor my sleep. I want information. But that means in order to get that information, that my information becomes vulnerable.
That's the deal. When I look into video editing software, sometimes I like to watch on YouTube the demonstration of the latest thing. But one of the things that's interesting is that a lot of these apps that you can download are absolutely free. Mm-hmm. They're really, really good technical apps, but they're absolutely free. And why is it free? Other than that, they want to see how you use it. Mm-hmm. They want to understand your thinking and how do you put things together. I think it's that's the explanation of why
Sure.
Why would it be free? In other words, it's all, to me, they're studying us all. They want us all to be
we are all little lab
rats and predictable, and then we will not be able to get outside of the maze at a certain point. You're confined to the maze.
Brightmore says every digital device is a miniature cell tower. Nicely put.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty stark.
I'm not sure I understand this comment. What do you do when the man in the middle is under your skin?
I think that's when we get our implants, you know, this after the
Get our
wearables.
little microchips like we have in our dogs.
The wearables aren't good enough for us anymore. We want to have the next step, the next level.
I see.
So yeah, give me the chip.
Corky says, I broke down and got an ad buster called Brave. Free, but man, it's great. So an ad buster, it gets rid of the ads.
Can we get one for our TV?
Wouldn't that be nice?
Maybe you can.
Yeah. Sometimes it's called upgrading to the higher paid level. Then you get rid of the ads, but you can't do that on commercial TV, but you can do it on the streaming services. Because now the streaming services, when we first got them, had no ads. And they said, well, we're going to start running ads, but if we double what we're charging you, then you can get the programs without ads. Kathy Sue says, taxation without representation, grounds for the Second American Revolution. We must take our country back and make it a country for the citizens. Kathy, you missed one thing there. Hashtag undo the coup.
Undo the coup.
Exactly. Because that's what the revolution, that's what undo the coup is all about. It's a Second American Revolution. We need to throw out the king and throw out all of those taxation without representation and establish our country as it was meant to be by the founding fathers, because we've gotten away from that.
Well put, well said. I endorse that 100%.
Right, Marcia. I've got RMNA under my skin. I've got our mRNA under my skin. Jonathan Edward Gibson, I'm hoping property taxes become mute and discarded.
Wouldn't that be nice?
It would be, but then how do you pay for government? I mean, government.
Oh, I know the answer to that.
What?
Tariffs.
Do you think, well, okay, but tariffs, who's going to charge these tariffs?
Trump.
All right, but what do your property taxes pay for?
A lot of stuff I don't need, and police, fire, and schools.
Right.
Yeah.
But Trump's tariffs aren't going towards police, fire, and schools.
Why not?
Because they're not. I don't know why not.
Because, well, you ask me what I think should happen.
But help me understand this. So you think that the American government should impose tariffs, and then the money that they collect from the tariffs goes towards running all governments, local, state, and federal?
That's the only answer I can come up with to your question. You know, if we don't, you know, tax, just, it's like a poll tax. It's like if you live in a certain county and you own property, then you're going to pay. Right. Well, that doesn't right. That's just not right to me. I think what we need to do is have another different way to fund the government. And, you know, when you ask me off the top of my head, well, tariffs. Yeah. I mean, now that was the traditional idea back in the day. Now, how did people fund the county sheriff in Texas in 1841? I mean, you know, they didn't have property taxes there, probably.
How do you know?
But somebody put a sheriff in office.
There had to have been some kind of tax.
Yeah, some kind of tax. Yeah.
Something.
Maybe liquor, you know.
Well, yeah.
They had enough saloons.
That's right. That's right. But some kind of tax goes towards funding.
Some kind of tax.
Now,
yeah.
I think government has gotten out of hand, hugely out of hand. And they're putting money into things that they don't need to be putting money into. have the infrastructure, have the regulations that protect our property and protect us, the fire, the police, the schools. And, and here in our county, they don't even pay for fire. Our fire services are volunteer, which blows my mind that that works, but it does because people are willing to volunteer. But yeah, use government to provide basic services, but no more than that. I don't know that government needs to be spending gajillions of dollars running gymnastic schools, or of course that's not billions, but you know what I mean. How much money does government need to put into to do economic development? I mean, that was something that I did, but I think that there's a lot of wasted money going on there. I think that some of the regulations are overreach. And so not only are you spending all of this money to make the regulations, then you're spending all of this money to enforce the regulations. I think things like zoning should be minimum. And I think things like building codes need to be enough to protect us and make sure that the people who are building our homes and building the buildings that we occupy are safe. But let's don't go overboard, and let's don't put in a lot of regulations that are unnecessary. So yeah, government has gotten out of hand, but it's still necessary.
It's right there. What you just said draws me right into the amazing Substack called "The Price of Liberty is Eternal Vigilance," and it's written by this person who goes by the handle of escape_key.
I've heard you
ESC_key.
Yeah.
And what he, she, whoever is doing is showing how the technocracy has been infiltrated into our government and keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And this is where things like digital currency are so helpful to them, because what they're doing is they're using our money, our income tax money, our property tax money is different, but ultimately they get a whole lot of money from the American citizens, and then they use it to shape society. They use that money to promote things that they want the future to look like, and to quash things that they don't want the future to look like. And they're doing that on our dime. They're doing that with our money. And they've been enabled to do that by the machinations that we talk about, from Sullivan and Cromwell taking over, the corporation law, making it a universal American, UCC. They do that by creating corporations that are immortal, that you can't take them down. They're so powerful.
Right.
They do that by creating voting groups and blocks. And so what it turns out to be, that what they want is called stakeholder capitalism. And what that means is, if you got the money, you can get your stuff done. But if you don't have the money, then you're out.
Right.
And
right,
so
exactly.
And
stakeholders are who you make happy.
Yeah. And so if you're focused all your energy as a government on making the stakeholders happy, then the common people get nothing. And that's what's going on.
Well, Prester John says the vast majority of our federal taxes goes to defense spending. And yes, that's true. It all fits into what you're saying, though, is so much of that, those stakeholders are the defense companies and, the people who are benefiting from requiring Europe to pay our American defense companies for their products.
It's interesting that Trump announced that Europe was going to pay for it, and then the next thing you know is, well, Greece says, no, we're not paying, and then Italy says, no, we're not paying, and Spain, nope, we're not paying. So it turns out
no pagamos.
it's going to be the Northern Europe is going to pay.
Right.
You know, Britain, Germany, the Scandinavian countries, and the the Baltic countries.
Right.
They're going to have to come up with the money to pay for all of these missiles and drones, and for Mr. Zelensky, who for some reason continues to have incredible. I mean, how is it that he hadn't been assassinated, by now? He's just such a an obvious target. So he's being used. He's a puppet like everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wanted to not skip this one, just if you don't mind, Marcia, to put up Brightmore's comment about the honeypot operators, because it is something to think about. Is that you have Epstein on the East Coast and Diddy on the West Coast running, brownstone operations, videoing people in order to blackmail them, just like J. Edgar Hoover used to do.
Right. Good point. Brightmore says, how much of our defense spending is spent on defending the corrupt politicians from exposure and accountability? Well, there is plenty of spending going on for that. Stakeholder capitalism, says Prester John, is a euphemism for all-out fascism.
Absolutely agree with that. Absolutely agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what fascism is the combination of business and government setting all the rules.
One many dynamic. Corporations are corpses, not persons. Groups are never persons. Well, the Supreme Court disagrees, unfortunately.
Yeah, that this whole idea of perpetual corporations that's the biggest scam, that we've ever been subjected to. I mean, there's probably some more by today that you can think of, but the idea that the founding fathers never would have had. There was nothing in the Constitution about corporations.
Right.
They had no idea that this was going to happen. And it's all been the combination of shifty bankers and lawyers that have written legislation over the decades that has gradually created these monster entities that have far more rights than you and I do.
This is right up there with the single bullet theory. Corporations are people too. It is both of those are so effing absurd that you just can't help but shake your head when you hear it. Yet this is the accepted truth in our country. But yeah, corporations are people too.
Hashtag undo the coup.
Yes.
Yeah, I know there's a lot going on. I know everybody, has their own thing, but try to consider the value of actually making the Congress hold a new hearing to really pick apart what happened to President Kennedy and hold those entities, especially those immortal entities, the corporate entities involved, the banks, to account.
That's right.
And then we would have the power to look at this crazy legislation like the Patriot Act, for instance, which never would have passed under President Kennedy or any reasonably patriotic American president. This whole thing has gone on since '63, and it's a coup. And, so let's undo it.
Undo the coup.
Thanks, everybody. It's been a lot of fun this morning.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being with us and for participating in your comments. Have a great weekend.